Hello, this is a short video report presentation about the paper which will be presented at the Networks in the Global World Conference. It's at Petersburg in July 2020, and I am Ilia Bykov, and because I am a first author, so I am presenting this video. However, I'm not so comfortable about this, but what can we do in these circumstances? I and my colleague Denis Martyanov, we wrote a paper and ran a little research. However, I should say first of all that this is a part of a bigger research project which entitled as Manageability and Discourse of Virtual Communities in the Time of Post-Truth Politics. And this research is funded by Russian government, a little, and we, in this bigger research, in this project, we hope to understand how today virtual communities works as echo chambers, or they facilitate some public discussions, or what, in social networks, of course. And so in this little research, in this little study, which you can find hopefully in our proceedings, we tried to draw a general map of virtual communities in the Vkontakte, which are politically engaged and represent all political spectrum of Russia. So it's a visualization, it's a picture, and finally in the end we managed to build a sample and draw this map, and I will present it later. And why is Vkontakte? And the answer is that Vkontakte is the second biggest social website in Russia after Google, and Twitter, for example, is not in top 50 popular sites in Russia. So you know that there are many studies in the field of Twitter and political communication in Twitter. This is a very normal presentation about this. This is work of Denis and others. They studied Twitter bots in Russian political communication, and in this report there is a picture of botnets and our pro-Kremlin botnets, pro-Navalny botnets, pro-Ukrainian botnets, and so on. Why is that? Because you can use IP, application programming interface, to retrieve data from different social networks services, and it's hard to do from Facebook, but it's rather simple to do from Twitter. That's why there are many studies with Twitter, but we think that it's not okay. We should actually study the social networks which are closer to the population. That's why we try to study Vkontakte. And Vkontakte is great for this because they allow to retrieve data, to crawl the data from profiles, so you can find information about membership in different groups, virtual communities, and also you can find information about age, about sex, about political views, about something else. And in our study, we follow the idea of virtual communities, which is based on communicative approach developed by Reingold, Wellman, Herring, and others. And here you can see a search engine in Vkontakte. You can see that at the moment of our study there were 11 million communities in Vkontakte, so there are many groups, obviously. And Of course, there are some studies in Vkontakte before us. For example, there was a good study by Sergei Suslov about clustering virtual space in Vkontakte of St. Petersburg, and here some data and visualization about this is St. Petersburg political online communities, and you can see here the two clusters in St. Petersburg, one pro-official and our program and our oppositional, and you can see that the oppositional cluster is bigger, but it was several years ago. Today maybe the picture is different because our new governor Bykov develops Vkontakte accounts very strongly. And also I would like to mention work of Shikotin with Codex. They studied two clusters of Vkontakte groups of nationalist and pro-Navalny groups. And why I mention here this paper, because they have some example of how they select these groups from 11 million groups in Vkontakte, and they use keywords. You can see here an example, and unfortunately Vkontakte allows us only search in titles and subtitles. That's it. So we did a very similar approach. We built a cloud of keywords, and here you can see a brainstorm paper, and then finally built 100 keywords, and we use them to automatically search use the search engine of Vkontakte, and the end result we have some list of groups. But we also limited these groups not only by keywords but also by limiting numbers of participants, members. Firstly, we run 1,000 minimum, and then we had to maximize this limit to 4,000 because we received at the first stage we received like 20,000 groups, and it wasn't possible to manually to verify them. And the second characteristic is that the groups must be active, so have some publications each week. And also a third characteristic is they should have some comments included, because we study discourse, and if there are no comments, so you can only study the discourse on officially produced by editors or moderators, but not the users. And if you follow the communicative approach of virtual communities, they based on the communication between members. So after we around first analysis, we received 2,693 groups. Then we manually verify them, and as a result we received 65 groups, and we called them as discourse groups. So they appeared as a result of automated search with keywords, and unfortunately, because of limitation of search engine, where some prominent big virtual communities were missed, and we used this search engine on the right column where there some topics or topics of interest, and there are some political parties, government bodies, and so on. So we manually mass media, we manually search them, and for example we found a group of Liberal Democratic Party of Russia, which was LDPR, so abbreviation, and there is here party keyword, but this group was missed because this is a LDPR like abbreviation. So also we added more groups by adding them manually, and we received as a result 115 groups, and here on GitHub you can find a link in our paper where is a complete list of groups which we received, and you can see here anarchists, communists, liberalism, libertarians, conservatives, and so on, and some parties, mass media, state bodies, hobby, non-government organizations, and in order to build also we retrieved all that profiles, and we built a map according to mutual membership in different groups, and we used Gephi program to build a picture of these politicized virtual communities, and but also we received some data about social demographic characteristics. For example, here you can see the percentage of male participants in different groups, and left up corner you can see feminists, and you can see that male participants less than 20%. Also the same picture, almost the same picture in green groups, about green ideology, and opposite situation on about libertarians and army and military forces questions, or right side of this slide. This is result we received, and this is a big general picture, and green one is discourse groups, and gray one is institutionalized groups, and white is discourse groups. And you can see that in the center of the this is a periphery, yes, so discursive groups which are ideologically motivated and discussing some particular political interests, they are on periphery. You can see it very brightly. And if we can see on the institutionalized, which we found by manually by interests and political parties, mass media, and so on, you can see that they are in the center of the graph. They're much more important than discursive groups. And also we tried to build a cluster, to run a cluster analysis, and well, partially it reflects the same situation of pro-Kremlin and opposite position in Russian political discourse. But well, this cluster analysis show actually not a very strong differentiation, I would say. So it's part of the it needs to investigate in the future. Well, so when we run a conclusion, we can tell that it's possible to build a sample, to build a picture. If is it relevant to a political situation in Russia in general? No, because social media, and especially Vkontakte, it's for youngsters, for young generation of Russians. So it's not a cool representation. And but if we are talking about Vkontakte especially, we think that it's rather close to represent this political groups in Vkontakte, and we have a very surprisingly well distributed. All ideological subgroups are presented, and all major political participants are here, and we can see that mass media in the center, and following by some institutionalized groups, like groups of political parties, like some ministries, and and ours. And we will be very grateful if you have some comments or advices how to improve our technique to build a more reliable methodology to build these samples of virtual communities. But we think that we did what we can do at the best, and results are very interesting. And of course we aimed to different questions. It was the first part, but we finished our study and published a book. And one of the chapters here is about this network analysis, which followed by our methods like discourse analysis and experiments. We in the end we did some experiments how these virtual communities react to the comments which are not in line with main political attitude in this group. For example, feminists, they react very strongly. They ban anyone who have something to say about feminists and something different. And on the other hand, mass media groups, they like, okay, have freedom of speech, so you can publish everything in mass media groups in Vkontakte. So thank you for your attention. Hopefully I didn't miss anything important, and feel free to send any comments and ideas how to improve our methodology and so on. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.